Hi everyone! Today I come to you from a little bit of a different background, and there's a very good reason for that. Today I am filming the bookshelf scavenger hunt tag, which I was tagged in by Lucy from Bookish Best Friends. I was tagged in this a while ago, but unfortunately with being at school most of my books are actually not with me, which is why I am here with all of my books, minus the ones that are at school. But I went through the tag and I found books on my shelf that are here at my parents' house, and I think this gives a better description of what I like to read as well as what I have on my shelves, because most of the books I have at school with me are actually books I haven't read yet and I know nothing about. So for this tag I am trying to mostly do books that I have read before, but there are some that I actually have not read. So with that disclaimer, let's get started. The first item is an author or a title with a Z in it. For this one I picked The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. At least I think that's how it's pronounced. And this book takes place during World War II and it follows the story of Litzel, and it is told by Death. The next item is to find a classic. And I actually have a lot of classics on my shelf, so for this one I went with the one that I love the most, and I picked Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, because I own not one, not two, but 3 copies of it. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, but Kelly, why do you have 3 copies of Pride and Prejudice? Nobody needs that many copies. Which I would agree with you. So I owned this copy, which is the beautiful Barnes & Noble edition, and love the book. This is the only one I owned for a while. But then I saw a craft on Pinterest, and it was to make paper roses out of book pages. And so instead of destroying a book I already own, I found this copy at Target for like $2 or $3. So I decided to buy this one with the intent of making that craft, which clearly I haven't done yet, and I'm not sure if I will because I have a hard time ruining books. So we'll see. So that brings us up to 2 copies. But then I have this one, which for the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, which I have mentioned many times in these videos now, they did an Indiegogo campaign to raise money to make more web series like the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, and this was one of the perks, was a copy of Pride and Prejudice with Lizzie Bennet Diaries stuff on the cover and an introduction by Hank Green, whose idea it was for the web series. So I decided to get this as a perk for my donation to their Indiegogo campaign, and now I have 3 copies of Pride and Prejudice. So the next item is to find a book with a key on it. For this one I chose Lock and Key by Sarah Dessen, which you can see well, maybe you can't see it. There is a key right there. It's on a necklace that she's holding. But obviously this is a YA book. I went through a period of time where I was really loving Sarah Dessen, and this was the first book of hers that I ever read. So the next item is to find something on your shelf that is not a book. And I actually don't have a lot on these particular shelves that are not books. So for this one I'm going with the posters that you can see above me. They're really pretty. I picked them up in Paris. They are prints from Vogue magazine. 2 of them are Chanel bottles and 2 of them are covers from Vogue magazines. And they're really pretty, and I just haven't hung them yet, so they're just hanging out on the top of my bookshelf. The next challenge is to find a book with a girl on it. And for that I have chosen If I Stay by Gayle Forman. And this book is not for everybody. It's a little weird. This book is about Mia, who is a cello player, and in the very beginning she and her family are in a car wreck and she has to decide if she wants to stay living or if she wants to die. It's a little bit dark, it's a little weird, but I enjoyed it. The next book is to find a book with an animal in it, and for this I have chosen Animal Farm by George Orwell. And as you can tell from the title, this book is all about animals. And this is a really quick read. It's very small, but it's very good, and I highly recommend this one. So the next item is to find a book with a male protagonist, and for that I have chosen Looking for Alaska by John Green. And if you've seen my other videos, you know I now have the nice pretty 10th anniversary edition, but this is the other version I own. It's got the candle with the smoke, which John Green has said many times he hates this cover of this book, and I agree, because that is supposed to be cigarette smoke and they had to put the candle because they didn't want to promote teenage smoking, I guess. I don't know. But the other copy is way better, but still a great book. So the next item is to find a book with only words on the cover. And for this one I actually didn't think I had any, but I completely forgot that I have this copy of Treasure Island, which only has words on it, and it's like embossed, or I guess that's what you'd call it. It's like indented with the words. and it's beautiful and I love it, and it matches the copy of another book that I will be showing you later in this video. The next item is a book with illustrations, which I have chosen The Princess Bride by William Goldman. And this book traditionally doesn't have illustrations in it, but the copy I have does, and it is beautiful. I actually owned the paperback version of this, but my aunt borrowed it and that gave me the excuse to buy this one because I figured I probably wouldn't get it back for a while, and this copy is gorgeous and I really needed an excuse to buy it. So she's my scapegoat on that one. But the illustrations in this book are just gorgeous. So there's this one, which is Wesley fighting Fezzik, and it is just beautiful, and I love this copy, and I am so happy that I have it on my shelves. But since that copy doesn't traditionally have illustrations in it, and you might fight me on it, I don't think anybody would, but my backup to that is Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein, which obviously was intended to have illustrations in it. So if you're not happy with my first choice, this is my second. The next item is to find a book with gold lettering on it. And for this one I have chosen Aragon by Christopher Paolini, and it doesn't have a lot of gold lettering, but the title there is in gold, so I figure it counts. So the next item is to find a diary. It could be true or fictional. So for this one I am choosing The Secret Diary of Lizzie Bennet by Bernie Sue and Katie Rorick, which, as I mentioned in my haul where I bought this, that it is the companion to the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, which is a web series here on YouTube, which I've actually already mentioned in this video now that I think about it. So this is really good. I've actually gotten a lot farther in it than I was when I talked about it initially. If you have seen the web series and you enjoyed it, I highly recommend picking this one up because there's actually a lot of information that's in this that was not in the web series, and I've really enjoyed it, so I recommend picking this one up. The next item is to find a book by an author with a common name like Smith. So I didn't really think I had any for this either, but I am choosing An Abundance of Catherines by John Green, because John is a very common first name and Green is actually a pretty common last name as well. The next item is to find a book with a close-up on it. For this one I am choosing Paper Towns, also by John Green, and I'm starting to sense a theme of me just showing you John Green books, which I do love John Green. He's an amazing author, so if you haven't read any of his books, you definitely should. This one they're actually turning into a movie soon, which I'm really excited about. The next item is to find a book that takes place in the earliest time period, and for that I'm choosing The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. And this is the book that matches my copy of Treasure Island, where it's got the words on the cover that are indented. And this thing is a beast. I actually have not read this one yet for that reason. I just don't have time to pick this up and really get into the story, but I've heard amazing things about it and I'm really excited to pick this one up. Hopefully over the summer, but we'll see. The next item is a hardcover without a jacket, and I actually didn't think I owned any of these either because all of my hardcovers do have jackets on them. I haven't lost any of them or misplaced them, but I forgot that last year I picked up the Barnes & Noble Classic Edition of Jane Eyre, which is hardcover and does not have a jacket. It's also got red pages, which is pretty cool, and it's got the silver on it, which is kind of shiny. But this copy is huge, and to finish this book, I actually finished it on my Kindle because I could not support this while I was reading in bed, because it's just too dang heavy. The next item is to find a teal or turquoise covered book, and for that I have chosen The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold, which this one kind of has a gradient of light to dark with the turquoise and the teal. At least I think you could count that as turquoise. I'm counting it. The next item is to find a book with stars on the cover. For this one I have chosen The Fault in Our Stars by John Green because it's got stars in the title. I'm just kidding, I've just shown you every book of his that I own besides this one, so I had to get it in this video somehow. My actual pick for this is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. It's kind of hard to see from this, but down here there are a bunch of stars, and I really love this book so much. If you haven't read it, do yourself a favor and pick it up. It is wonderful. And the last item is to find a book that is non-YA, which for some people might actually be difficult, but I do have a lot of non-fiction and adult books on my shelf, so narrowing it down was actually more hard for me, but I have chosen Bossy Pants by Tina Fey. This book is hilarious, and if you love Tina Fey, you should definitely read this, because it's really funny, and if you read it in her voice, it just makes it that much better. that is my bookshelf scavenger hunt tag video. If you've read any of the books I talked about in this video, leave me a comment down below letting me know what you thought about those books. And for this tag, I'm gonna tag Alexis over at Rocket Reads because I don't think she's done this, and I think she actually was tagged by Lucy as well. So Alexis, I know you're watching this, get on it. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time with more books. Bye!